Hey guys, it's Meal Before Me, and I'm back with another food review. This time we're checking out Home Chef. It's a meal kit delivery service where you pick the recipes and they send you fresh, pre-portioned ingredients to make them. Their menu rotates each week with over 30 meals to choose from. They deliver throughout the United States, and they're a subsidiary of Kroger, so you can purchase some of their kits at your local grocery. Now, I said in my last review that I needed a break from meal kits I have to cook, so I was happy to see that Home Chef has a range of no prep options. That's what I'm reviewing in this video, and as always, I'm going to walk you through everything from ordering and the unboxing to my taste test in real time. Getting started, I headed to the website, and while meal kit companies typically offer discounts to first-time customers right on the homepage, I didn't see one for Home Chef. So I entered the link from the last TV ad I saw, which was homechef.com/16. As you can see, that gave me 16 free meals or 60% off my first 3 boxes. They may have new promos you can use by the time I post this. With the discount applied, I clicked on Get Started at the top of the page to sign up. The first screen asks you to choose your preferences and plan, which you can change after you register. For the plan, you can pick Home Chef, which is the standard recipe plan where you cook the meals with the ingredients they send, or Fresh and Easy, which is for their low and no prep meals. That's what I'm interested in, so I chose that. It then asks if you have any dietary preferences or foods you want to avoid. As I mentioned in all of these reviews, I have no allergies or dietary restrictions, just things I don't like. So for diet, I'm leaving the calorie and carb options unselected. If you're interested in those options, each week's menu includes at least 3 calorie-conscious recipes and 3 carb-conscious ones. Calorie-conscious means it has less than 625 calories per serving, and carb-conscious means it has less than 35 grams per serving. You can spot the qualifying recipes in the menu by the heart and bread symbols. As for foods to avoid, I'm leaving all of these unselected except shellfish and peanuts, because I don't like shellfish, that whole family creeps me out, and peanuts are kind of gross. But I want to point out 2 things I noticed here that are a little different from some of the other services I've tried. The first is the inclusion of sesame as an optional food to avoid. Their website states that sesame will be the 9th major food allergen as of January 2023, according to the FASTER Act, whatever that is. The second thing I notice is the lack of emphasis on specific diet types. Some meal kit services allow you to filter recipes by things like keto, vegan, paleo, etc., but the only options here focus on carbs and calories. So I suspect that Home Chef isn't necessarily geared towards people following strict nutritional plans. That said, they do state that many of their recipes are suitable for various diets. They also include a vegetarian option every other week, though vegan options aren't guaranteed. So if you're on a specific diet, you'll likely have to figure out which recipes are best on your own. The next screen asks for your email address and zip code to sign up and verify that they deliver to your area. Once that's done, you can start building your box. The first question is how many people you're cooking for. Since I'm the only one reviewing the meals, I'm choosing 2 servings. Next is how many recipes I want each week. I'm only doing this for 1 week for the sake of the review, and as usual, I want to review as many meals as I can, so I'm choosing 6. With the discount, the total is $66.38 plus $10.99 for shipping. It's a little higher for 6 recipes than some of the services I've reviewed, but keep in mind that all of them were for meals I cooked myself. For recipes that are low or no prep, I think the price is still reasonable, but we'll see when I get to the menu. And they do offer discounts for military, healthcare workers, and more. So if you're in one of the listed professions, make sure to take advantage of that when ordering. On the next screen, you enter your mailing address and choose your first delivery date. I'm placing this order on January 23rd, and the earliest delivery date they have for the current menu is January 30th. I want to get started on this review as soon as possible, so I'm going with that, and no, I don't want your texts! Next, you enter your payment method, either debit, credit, or PayPal, and like all of the meal kit services I've reviewed so far, you won't be charged until right before the delivery is made. In this case, I'll be charged on Friday, January 27th, and every Friday thereafter until I pause or cancel. Now we get to the good part, picking the meals, and I hate that this invitation screen comes first. These companies really push that marketing before letting you get down to business, don't they? Once you're in, you'll see notifications offering guidance and tips on using the site. There's also My Cookbook, where you can save and rate recipes you've tried. Since I'm new to Home Chef, there's nothing there, but it's an interesting feature to have. On to the important stuff though. Like other services, Home Chef pre-selects your meals based on the preferences you set. I want to choose them myself, so I'll click Edit Meals. Looking at the full menu, you can filter by cook time, meal type, proteins, even spice level, and they have recipes by Food Network's Rachel Ray. Recipes that say customize it allow you to change the protein included. For example, this crispy chicken recipe lets you swap the chicken breast for antibiotic-free chicken breasts or boneless pork chops. And recipes where you can substitute Impossible brand plant-based meat for real meat are labeled with Impossible, like this beef burger. Pay attention to the price when customizing, since some substitutions cost more per serving. As for meal types, there are a few I want to point out. The culinary collection includes meals with more premium ingredients, like this balsamic glazed salmon or New York strip. They also cost more, so keep that in mind when adding them to your box. Oven-ready meals are what I'm here for. They come with pre-portioned ingredients in a metal tray. You just assemble it and bake. And remember, these meals aren't for the microwave. If you're looking for microwave meals, look for recipes labeled fast and fresh. They're ready-made meals with microwave-safe containers that you heat and eat. They can also be baked in the oven if you like, just read the directions. Beyond the meal kits, Home Chef has bundles that include soups and salads or additional proteins, as well as extras, which are a la carte options you can add to your box. For this review, I plan to do a mix of oven-ready and microwavable meals, but the problem I came across is that there weren't enough options between the two meal types to make up my 6 recipes for the week. I either had to spend more for the plus versions or get the bigger family ones. Of all the meal kit companies I reviewed, this was the first time I couldn't find a meal I really wanted to eat without spending more money, and that was a red flag. But to be fair to Home Chef, it's also the first time I'm only ordering no-cook recipes, which were pretty limited with other companies too. The fact that nearly all of the basic options leaned Mexican, though, was interesting, and I wanted to know if that was just the case for that week, or if Home Chef's menu typically leans towards certain cuisine for its no-prep meals. So I looked at the menu for the following week, and the variety was miles better. You could argue that the option skewed Mediterranean, but that's still a much broader range of cuisines. The difference between the two menus was so stark that unlike every other meal kit service I've tried where I was happy to order from whatever menu they put in front of me, I had to skip Home Chef's current menu to make sure I wasn't wasting money on recipes I hate. Still, variety was the least of my problems with Home Chef. The most upsetting things was that their oven-ready meals are incredibly misleading. Their ads make it seem like you open everything up, slap it together in the tray, and pop it in the oven. They even say that's all there is to it, and if you don't believe me, I'll link to the most recent ad they've been pushing of late. So the most I thought you might have to do is chop. But looking at the instructions, there's so much cooking prep involved for some of them that you might as well get a regular meal kit. How do you call something oven ready if you have to sear the meat in a pan on the stove first? Those meals, by definition, are not ready for the oven. And I was so annoyed by that, I almost canceled the order and scrapped this review. Instead, I decided to do what I alluded to. If I have to break out the pans or utensils anyway, I might as well cook. So in the end, with a little compromise, I snagged 6 recipes I was excited for. Cheesy Italian Bolognese risotto or Bolognese risotto. Greek-style chicken wraps with tzatziki. Cheesy, crispy onion turkey meatloaf with Brussels sprouts. Smoked Gouda chicken with garlic butter green beans. Red pepper crusted chicken with pimiento mac and cheese. And a Korean-style barbecue salmon rice bowl. That's 2 fast and fresh microwave meals, 2 oven-ready meals, 1 oven-ready plus, and 1 regular meal kit with the express label, which means it's quick to cook. Am I disappointed that I had to spend a little extra on one of the meals and also cook one? Absolutely. But we have a really good variety of things to try, so I can't wait for the food to arrive. Future me will be back for the unboxing. In the meantime, if you enjoy my food reviews and want to see more of them, please like this video. It tells YouTube that my channel is worth sharing, and I really want to grow it this year so I can afford to review more services, more restaurants, all the food content you'll love. So the delivery arrived on February 6th as scheduled at around 10:30 a.m. The good news is that unlike other services I've tried, I received a text message confirming the delivery along with a picture of where the box was dropped off. The bad news is that it was delivered outside of the complex instead of inside at my door. It wouldn't have been a big deal, except that I already left for work and didn't want my box up for grabs for the next 8 hours, so I called customer service. I connected quickly, explained the issue, and they said they'd contact the driver to let him know to move the box. I should note that while other meal kits delivered to me via UPS or FedEx, Home Chef used a company called Axel Hire. I've never heard of them before, so you can look into them yourselves, but they seem to focus on shipping to major urban areas, and I'm in New York. If you're in a more remote location, Home Chef might use a different shipper. Getting to the unboxing, the box was pristine and neatly taped, measuring 15 inches all around. And instead of the usual foil insulated bag inside, there was something called Renew Liner. Lifting the top layer, the meals were grouped into custom Ziploc bags, and everything still felt cold, which is great considering how long the box was sitting there. Removing the 6 bags, there was a layer of cardboard. Behold my shadow! And underneath that was another bag with all the proteins, along with 2 packs of Pack Temp Creative Ice, which the packaging states is non-toxic and reusable. Both packs were still fully frozen. Apart from the food, they included recipe cards for each meal and this nifty 3-ring binder for storing them. But enough with the unboxing, because you know the question on all of our minds is, how does it taste? And I'm actually pretty hungry right now, so let's get these meals cooked. To the table! Since the meals are individually packaged, I'm going to open each one up as I go so you can see what we're working with before I prepare them. And as always, I'll be rating each recipe by taste, smell, texture, and repeatability, meaning would I eat it again? Starting with the fast and fresh microwavable meals, the recipes don't state the wattage they're based on, so you'll have to adjust your cook times accordingly. I'm using my 700-watt Kenmore microwave, and I'm going to stick to the times the recipe states since I'm not only reviewing the quality of the food, but the recipes themselves. If you're skittish about cooking in the microwave, you can follow the oven instructions instead. First up is the Greek-style chicken wraps. The prep and cook time says 20 to 30 minutes, which I wouldn't exactly call fast, but we are making a meal in the microwave, so I'll allow it. It comes with 8 ounces of fully cooked and seasoned diced chicken breast that weighed 7.1 ounces, crispy fried onions, tzatziki dip, a pepper and onion mix, chimichurri seasoning, a 4-pack of mini naan flatbreads, and of course the tray, which is about 7 inches long, 5 inches wide, and 2 inches deep. So let's get this microwave party started, and keep in mind that for the sake of being consistent in these reviews, if I'm given a range of time, I'm always going to use the extreme end of that range. So if it says to cook something for 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to use 3 minutes. See you in a bit. Wha-bam! So these are the wraps, and again, because this is the, taste test part that's actually in real time, I've switched to my crappy mic, so I'm gonna sound bad, but you know what? I'm gonna sound authentic, and that's what counts. Anyway, just a reminder, as always, that I paid for 2 servings of each one of these recipes. So there are actually 2 more of these wraps filled with everything. Also, I just got some of the tzatziki sauce on my finger. So this is 1 serving's worth, which means I have another set just like this that I put in storage already. But I'm excited, okay? We've talked enough. Let's just see what this tastes like. Oh yeah. Let's just get smell out of the way. Everything smelled fantastic. Like even when I first opened the package just of the peppers and onions, my God, it was so fragrant. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 for whiff automatically. For texture, this bread, I don't know. I followed the instructions where I just opened the packaging and put it in the microwave for 90 seconds. And as you can see from that, you did get this, I guess I could say, not really doughy texture, but it's definitely more moist than it was going in. You may not like that. So you may decide that you want to warm the bread up differently or even toast it like the packaging said. I was a little bit worried about the chicken because when I was breaking it apart, it felt like it was going to be a little bit chewy, but actually once it was warmed up and everything was in here, I took a bite and it was not. So for texture, I'm thinking I'm gonna give the whole thing maybe a 4 out of 5. For taste, in case you can't tell because I'm just sitting here eating it, is absolutely delicious. I think this is a really good start, especially for something that was prepared in the microwave, which makes my last rating pretty obvious. Repeatability, would I eat it again? Definitely. The one thing I will say is that because you were heating up some of the stuff in the microwave, you should pay attention to, draining things. Like I felt like I needed to definitely drain the vegetables and the chicken and everything like that before bringing it together. Otherwise it would have made this very soggy. But beyond that, I would absolutely choose this again. So yeah, I'd say this is off to a really good start. Next up is the cheesy Italian-style Bolognese risotto. It comes with red pepper flakes, peas, 8 ounces of meat sauce, grated Parmesan, a cream-based sauce, garlic salt, shredded mozzarella, 8 ounces of cooked arborio rice, which is an Italian short grain that indeed weighed about 8 ounces, 2 Ritz crackers, and the tray, which was the same size as before, so that may just be the size for all fast and fresh recipes. The texture is what I'm going to be the most curious about with this one, so let's whip it up and see how it turns out. Shawash! I know what you're thinking, all right? There are a couple of things going on here. Where is the white plate? Or where's the white bowl? Which I would use, but I honestly didn't feel like dirtying one, so we just kept this in the tray. Also, it at least allows you to get a good idea of exactly how much risotto you get. And because I didn't take anything out, this is the full 2 servings, okay? So this is all you get for this particular recipe. Let's say that I went into this with a little trepidation, okay, over its everything. Because first of all, risotto, I'm not really a fan. Second of all, I had to crush all these red pepper flakes. And as you can see, one little section thought it was going to be the king that ruled the castle. And I feel like when red pepper flakes are on something, all it does is add heat that doesn't really add any dimension or anything else to it. So I'm not gonna eat that section. I'm probably gonna eat another section, we'll see. And the fact that there were peas in there, I love peas. Do I want it in this? I don't know. We're gonna find out together. Let me just get a spoon. Also, because I kept everything in the tray, I went ahead and weighed this out of curiosity, and it came out to 25 ounces. I will say, and I'll show you this so you can see the ow. Also, it's hot. Ow. Goodness gracious. Okay. We'll show you a little bit of the texture if I can without burning myself. But it is actually pretty thick, I want to say. Like, you can see how the hole that I just spooned that out of is not immediately collapsing in on itself. And you do get a little bit of stretch from the cheese that's in there. But we're here for the taste, not the acrobatics, so. And yes, I'm blowing on it because I'm a child. Let me know in the comments, how many of you are the type of people who can eat food like as soon as it's been prepared? I am not. I have to blow on it. I need it to cool down. It will burn my mouth. So, let me know. Are you a hot eater or a tongue burner? Oh, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by that. So I will say this. It did come with the Bolognese sauce, and the fact that it has that meat in it, I think contributes very much to the overall, I guess, like mouthfeel and richness and savoriness of the whole thing, because the rice itself has a really good texture. And I guess because that's the thing that's surprising me so much, I'll start with that for my ranking. Also, as always, pay no attention to my nails. I have workers' hands. My nails will never match. But yeah, I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5 for texture. Like, it's just surprisingly creamy, and when you bite into it, oh, there you go. There you can see a little bit of that string pull. But yeah, when you bite into it, you get such a great texture from that rice and from the meat that was in a Bolognese sauce. Like, I wasn't sure from looking at the sauce in that jar if there was gonna be enough meat in it for it to really add that hardiness to it, but it did. Like, I felt like I bit down into like little chunks of meat. So that texture was just fantastic. The peas, I don't really taste. Like, I feel like they could just not be in there, though it is pretty. It adds a little bit of green. I mean, the whole dish looks nothing like the picture, but let's be real. Who does? Do you? Not I. So it's fine that they're in there because, again, I do like peas. So if it's gonna be there, I'd rather it be like, a silent letter in a word and just not be heard, or in this case, tasted. The red pepper flakes, in this amount and in this distribution, it's not overshadowing the flavor of the dish. And to my surprise, again, the Ritz crackers actually added something. I mean, there were only 2 that I crumbled up, but I could taste them. There was something about just the flavor of it. It added a slight sweetness to it. I would say for flavor, 4 out of 5 for me. For smell, I didn't really smell the ingredients when I opened it, but I mean, what was there to smell, really? It was rice and peas and such. When I just smell this, like the finished product, it really does smell like lasagna. And that's just an inviting smell. So I'm gonna give that a 5 out of 5. And then for repeatability, would I eat it again? Honestly, I would. Definitely quick, definitely easy. So kudos to you so far, home chef. Moving on to the oven-ready meals, with prep and cook times ranging from 30 minutes to an hour each, I'm going to multitask and overlap what I can to save time and get them all done at once. But you won't see that because, say it with me friends, this is a review channel, not a cooking channel. We only deal in end results around these parts. Now, despite my complaints about some of the oven-ready recipes not living up to that name, none of the ones I chose for this review require additional cooking elsewhere. They do, however, require things to be cooked in stages rather than being able able to pop everything in at once and be done with it. So they're still not as oven ready as I'd like. More accurately, they're oven only. First up is the red pepper crusted chicken. That's the oven ready plus meal, which costs more for more premium ingredients, though the justification for that remains to be seen. It comes with 12 ounces of boneless, skinless chicken breast that weighed 11.1 ounces. And in case you noticed, I'm only weighing the main ingredients in each recipe here, not everything like I do when I review regular meal kits. I could explain why, but why? There's also baby spinach, shredded cheddar, garlic salt, light cream cheese, roasted red pepper pesto, cooked cavatappi pasta, and the tray, which is the same size as the tray for the fast and fresh. It was supposed to come with crispy red peppers, you know, that thing in the name of the dish. Instead, I got more crispy onions. And I'm still going to follow the recipe, but I'll have to place a huge asterisk over the flavor ranking this time, and we'll talk more about that at the end. For now, let's get this cooked up. I tell you, every time it looks great. But this recipe was problematic because it did not have the red pepper that it was supposed to have. Instead, it had crispy onions. I don't know why they seem to be obsessed with crispy onions over there, because I feel like I saw that in, pretty much every recipe that I looked at. So we're gonna go right into the taste test here, keeping in mind that this is supposed to be kind of spicy, but it is what it is. So I do like the pasta. I mean, it does taste kind of like an elevated mac and cheese, because you do create the cheese sauce and then you mix that pesto into it. That was a really nice blend. By the time I was done though, I would say that there wasn't as much of the sauce as I would like there to be. Oh, and again, just to clarify, this is 1/2 of the serving, okay? So I do have this exact amount, again, already put away in storage. So in case you were wondering, this is for one person. This is one serving, and I would say it's definitely enough. If I were to taste the chicken, again, you maybe can or can't tell. I think you can see like that little bit of sheen on there. The chicken was very, very well done, and it's still juicy. I was actually kind of afraid that it was going to be dried out just because of these steps that were in the recipe. It's very flavorful. The chicken is really coming through strong. And I do think it blends well with the mac and cheese, but again, I feel like all I can say for this recipe is that in this iteration, I would give it a 5 out of 5, but this is not the recipe that they gave. What I will say is that the core of the recipe is actually really good. Everything turned out great. So for texture, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. For whiff, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 because the smell is not really... There's not really anything going on here that's that aromatic, I mean, it's like mac and cheese and chicken, that doesn't really have a unique smell. Flavor, like I said, I can just say that I really thought this was good. If this were the recipe, I would give it a 5 out of 5. And for repeatability, you know what? If they got it right next time, then yes, I would eat this again. I want to say that I think, minus the mistake, Home Chef has really been kind of knocking it out of the park with these recipes so far, but we gotta move on. Next, we have the cheesy, crispy onion turkey meatloaf. It comes with 10 ounces of ground turkey, which weighed 10.5 ounces, honey, more crispy fried onions, garlic pepper, shredded cheddar, the cream sauce base, chopped garlic, 8 ounces of carrots, panko breadcrumbs, 4 ounces of Brussels sprouts, and the tray. And I don't want to prejudge the turkey part of this, even though I have a feeling I won't like it. Let's just make it and see what happens. Beep, beep, beep. So, we have the one that I think might be the most interesting for me, minus the risotto, because I'm not really a fan of turkey, let alone ground turkey. Also, the fact that these vegetables, which I will probably love because I love carrots and I love Brussels sprouts, I had to finish it with honey. So that'll be interesting. Then we have the cheese sauce, which, I admittedly didn't melt as much as I was supposed to. That's just because I had to stop the microwave about 30 seconds early because the noise was interrupting something. So if I did it as long as I was supposed to, you wouldn't see the little bits of cheddar that are still there. It would actually be fully incorporated. And of course we have a reappearance of our little friend, the crispy onions. Again, crispy onion mafia, stop holding Home Chef hostage, okay? Because it's such an overpowering flavor. So this is 1 out of the 2 servings that I just made. Let's go ahead and taste it. Let me dig into the meatloaf first, because that's the thing I'm the most curious about. I guess I'll eat this on its own because it did have some seasoning mixed into it, and then I'll dip it in some more of the sauce to just see how it tastes. That's about the texture I thought it was gonna be. Maybe the saving grace is going to be the honey and the vegetables. So I'm gonna have that first, and then I'm gonna mix them together to see if it kind of elevates it. I can taste the honey, but it's almost like it kind of seeped in at this point. I would maybe even venture to put more, like to just drizzle it on right before eating. So let's mix this together. I was thinking that maybe like the saltiness of the cream and the cheese maybe would balance well with sort of the richness of the veggies and then like the sweetness of the honey. It does not. I lied to myself. So let's just get into the rating. For smell, well, maybe I'll give it a 4 out of 5 because I can smell a little bit of that undertone of like the honey there. And it does give it this nice floral smell like, oh, I'm not just eating meatloaf and veggies. So I'll bump it up to a 4. A 4 out of 5 for whiff. For flavor, I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 5. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 for texture, and what's saving it is the vegetables. The vegetables are perfectly cooked. I would have given this ground turkey nonsense, okay, this shenanigans, I would have given it a 2 out of 5 for texture, but it is a complete recipe, it's a whole thing, so I'm gonna just say, let's bump it up to a 4. As for repeatability, would I eat this again? No. You could swap the turkey out with another protein, but again, a lot of those things cost extra money. And once you start doing that, once you start going in and customizing and substituting and adding on to things, you know, then I feel like the affordability of it kind of goes out the window. And then you get back to a point where, you know, you should just go to the grocery store. I would rather do that than this again, but it was a valiant effort. And last, for the oven-ready meals, we have the smoked Gouda chicken. It comes with 12 ounces of boneless, skinless chicken breasts that actually weigh 12.1 ounces this time, mayo, honey, 12 ounces of green beans, a packet of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, garlic salt, 2 slices of smoked Gouda, more of those crispy onions, roasted garlic and herb butter, and the tray. Let's follow the directions and see what we get. Abraca chicken! Doesn't look as great as the other ones, but you know what? Looks can be deceiving, so we're just gonna jump right into it. First of all, again with the crispy onions, but I'm still looking forward to tasting the green beans because of that like garlicky, seasony looking butter that I had to mix with it. This is 1 out of the 2 servings, so let's go ahead and cut this. And I hope you can see that like even though it looks like I'm slicing, I'm really not. Like I'm just kind of pushing down because this is a dull knife. I don't even know where the heck I got it from. The chicken, again, like the other one, was actually really well done. I mean, that is one thing I'll say for all the services I've reviewed so far. You know, especially things like boneless chicken, they're very easy to dry out. And I haven't had that issue with, I don't think any of the recipes that I've tried at any of these services. Maybe there was one. So I'm probably gonna like this, but let's go ahead and verify that the chicken actually is well cooked. Oh yeah. Okay, well, I kind of got it, but I can see the butter stuff on it. That's why I wanted to try that one. So let's see what this tastes like. I feel like I was expecting the flavor to be a little bit more concentrated, but now thinking about how much butter I had, the green beans pretty much diluted it. And you know, there is a step in this where you do have to drain the green beans afterwards. So I do feel like there was probably still a lot of moisture kind of on the green beans that may have prevented it from soaking up as much of that butter as it could have. That said though, my issue with the green beans is the texture. I feel like they're a little too crunchy for me. You know, they're not really where I want it to be. And then there are also some where you can see like the tip of this one is a little bit burnt. If I could get that closer so you can kind of see that there. This is the first recipe where there is something where I feel like, you know, you really do want to pay attention to the cook times. Again, because a part of what I'm reviewing is the recipe, I stuck to the times that they used. But, you know, in every case, like you're not reviewing this stuff, you're just eating it, right? So cook it however you would normally cook it, season it however you normally season it, etc. Because of the vegetables just being a lot crunchier than I personally like to the point where like I feel like I'm chewing on thread. It's a 3 out of 5 for texture. A 3 out of 5 for flavor too, because again, the flavor profile is just not that interesting. The highlight is the chicken, you know, with the cheese. For smell, I do like that the barbecue sauce kind of smells like barbecues, and I mean like the actual event, you know, it smells kind of like summer. So I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 for whiff as well. This is just kind of middle of the road all over the place. So as far as repeatability is concerned, would I eat this again? Probably not. I just feel like there was a lot more that could be done here. So this was kind of a miss for me, but still not bad. You know, I'm still gonna eat it because I paid for it. And so we come to the last recipe of the order, the Korean-style barbecue salmon rice bowl. This is the regular meal kit where all you get is the ingredients and you cook it like any other meal. Again, I chose an express recipe so the cook time would be relatively short, and this one is listed at 10 to 15 minutes. The ingredients are simple and few. It comes with green beans, Korean barbecue sauce, soy sauce, minute rice, sesame seeds, and 9 ounces of salmon that weighed 10 ounces. Always want to see that number higher instead of lower. And I can't see this one going wrong unless the barbecue sauce tastes weird, because I love salmon and cook Asian-inspired dishes all the time, but I'll let the recipe speak for itself. Boink! There it is, folks, the last dish of this review, and it's looking as pretty as anything else. Now, I'm going to say right out of the gate that even though I really didn't want to cook anything for this, I'm glad I did pick an express meal so that this was actually very quick to make. And I'm a little bit biased because I absolutely love salmon. I don't think I've ever had salmon that I didn't like unless it was just overcooked. So this wasn't bad to deal with at all. In fact, I would say that some of the other dishes took longer than this just because of the way that you were doing it in stages. So keep that in mind going forward if time is the biggest issue for you as far as what you're going to order, that sometimes just cooking the meal may actually be faster than the microwavable or oven ready options. Now you do have to top this with a sauce at the end, and they do recommend that you taste the sauce first because it is spicy. So I did do that just so I had an idea of how much I wanted to add to this. But it really is heavier on the flavor, but it is definitely the kind of spice where I think if you got a mouthful of it, it might be a little bit overwhelming. So I'm gonna just dive in. And you can see that like the salmon was very well cooked. You can probably also, I forgot to take pictures, shit. The rice I was a little bit concerned about, and might still be, we'll see, just because I don't usually prepare rice, you know, in a pan in that way. So to me, there's always like the threat of it becoming a little bit too mushy if the water doesn't absorb the way that you want, or if there's more water than there should be because of the recipe, etc. And the vegetables are very tender, like I like them, just from the way that the fork goes into it, but we won't know until I taste it, so let's taste it. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, this for me is probably going to be the star because it's a great balance of all the things I like. You know, a dish that's fast to make, easy to make, and also that tastes good to me. Like, I love rice, and like I said, I love salmon, and I love having really nicely sauteed green beans. That barbecue sauce has a nice spice to it, like I said, and just works really well here. And it's the kind of heat that dissipates quickly. So if you don't like really spicy food, again, you shouldn't worry about it being the kind of heat that just lingers on your tongue in the back of your throat. It is not like that at all. So let's just jump into the review. First of all, for texture, I'm gonna give everything a 5 out of 5. The rice is perfect. The salmon is perfect. The green beans are perfect. Nothing negative to say here. And I'm gonna keep eating a little bit because this is actually my dinner for tonight too. So good. And again, this is 1 out of the 2 servings I have. So I have this exact amount put away in my storage already. So 5 out of 5 for texture, 5 out of 5 for flavor. And let's just get that out of the way. It's perfect. Like the balance of spice, the balance of seasoning, that little hint of soy sauce, and there's a little bit of umami there. Just all so good. So let me just smell it. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 for whiff. It has that, again, that just comforting, warm, distinct Asian kind of scent to it. And I guess I don't have to explain what repeatability is going to be. Would I eat it again? Absolutely. In fact, this would probably be something that if they had it on the menu like all the time, like I would consistently always leave one space for it. That's how much I like it. But again, your mileage may vary. If you don't like salmon that much, then you may not like this. If you don't like Asian-inspired flavors or, spice, then you may not like this. But for me, this is 100% up my alley. But now that the taste test is over, at least as far as what you're going to see, I'm going to sit here and devour this whole thing. And then after that, I'm going to give you my final thoughts about this entire experience with Home Chef. Getting into my final thoughts, I like the setup of Home Chef's menu the best out of all the services I've tried. The labeling is clear and the filters are responsive and intuitive. I also appreciate the online cookbook because it rewards customer loyalty with convenient tracking of your experience with each meal you've tried. As for the recipes themselves, I think Home Chef's use of ingredients and the type of ingredients they included were less interesting than other services. Blue Apron and HelloFresh were both more creative with the spices and bases they included and with how you layered and combined them throughout the dish. Some of their recipes still fell flat in terms of flavor, but the ones that landed had really distinct, notable profiles, like something special. That said, being a basic kitsch with their ingredients means Home Chef's recipes are easier to replicate with whatever you've got around the house, compared to recipes with ingredients that would cost a ton if you tried to buy them on your own. I think the quality of the ingredients were great, and these services typically include a time frame for when the meals should be cooked for optimal results. All of my recipes said to cook them within 5 days, except for the salmon bowl, which said 3 days. I got the box on a Monday, cooked all the meals except the salmon bowl on Wednesday, then cooked the salmon bowl on Saturday. That's well over 3 days, and I didn't have any issues. That's either a testament to the freshness of the ingredients or to my fridge. One thing I'll say about all of these services as far as ingredients go is that the proteins they include are much higher quality than what I pick up at the grocery. It obviously depends on your grocer, your butcher, etc. I still think it's worth mentioning that the meat is always a highlight for me with these meal kits. Moving on to the menu, Home Chef offered 30 meals for the week, which was more than what I think I had from Blue Apron, but less than HelloFresh, so I'd say the number of choices are decent, but an abundance of similar recipes might make it hard to have a lineup that feels diverse unless you're open to ordering anything from the menu regardless of price. To a degree, that's true for all of these services. If you have money to burn, you won't care that some choices cost more than others, you'll just pick what you want. But when you're on a budget, it matters if the recipes within a certain price range aren't that varied. Also, for a company owned by a grocery, I would have expected Home Chef to have an abundance of prepackaged choices, so it was disappointing that their a la carte section was so limited. Then again, Home Chef has the advantage of having some of their kits available in stores, so make of that what you will. And when it comes to the meal types, I know this will depend heavily on the recipes you choose, but the fast and fresh microwavable meals blew the oven-ready meals out of the water. The quality of the end result was just as good, if not better, yet it took a fraction of the time and happened to taste better. I'm also happy to report that the salmon rice bowl was true to its express label. It was so quick to make, and I also enjoyed it more than the oven-ready meals that took 3 times as long. So without a doubt, I'd recommend the fast and fresh or express recipes over the oven-ready options at this point, because I think they need to take the oven-ready concept back to the drawing board. But if you do try their oven-ready recipes, make sure you have tinfoil because I don't think it's listed as an item you'll need. Jumping to the price, the cost per serving for basic meals was $1 or $2 higher at Home Chef than some of the services I reviewed, but the cost of their premium recipes and customizations were comparable and in many cases much cheaper, so it balances out. I've said before that all of these services cost more per serving than I personally like to spend on food, even with the discounts, but if you aren't a cheapskate, the discounted prices have been pretty on par with what you'd likely spend at the store. So if I were to continue using Home Chef or any of the others, it would only be until the discounts run out. Now, about that missing ingredient, I did contact customer service after the fact, and they said they had to do a last-minute swap for a packet of crispy onions due to a supplier issue. Setting aside the fact that I'm sure the onion mafia told them to say that, I'm not a fan of ingredients being swapped without notice, and that's especially true when they aren't similar. You can't say, sorry we ran out of carrots so we sent you a potato. And what if they swap the expected ingredient with something you can eat? Still, credit where credit is due, they were very understanding about it and refunded me $10 for the trouble. Speaking of ingredients, the Greek wraps were supposed to be topped with the crispy onions and I forgot to do it on camera, so I did it after and tasted them again. The added texture was nice, but it changed the flavor in a way I didn't care for. I'd honestly dropped my taste rating for the wraps from 5 to a 4 because of it. So overall, I'd say Home Chef is similar enough to other meal kit delivery services for it to be worth giving a shot, except that nothing about it stands out. HelloFresh dominates with its a la carte options, Blue Apron has its bold spices and wine pairings, all Home Chef has is its grocery ties, and not everyone has a Kroger nearby. So I think the company needs to do more to set itself apart, because right now their service is forgettable and I wouldn't choose it again over the others. They do have an opportunity to correct that by nailing their oven-ready meals, because getting that right would be a game changer, but considering that Blue Apron is coming out with their own line of oven-baked meal kits, they're gonna have a fight on their hands. Either way, let me know what your experience has been with Home Chef. A link to their site is in the box, and if you haven't already, please vote in the poll on my community tab for which service you want me to try next. Thanks so much for watching MBM, and I'll see you snackies when I'm backies.